Most people eat this food every single week, but almost no one realizes it's quietly repairing their cells, lowering inflammation, and reversing years of hidden damage. Today, science finally explains why this one food is silently healing your body, and if you start using it correctly, it could change your health more than any supplement ever. Will it begins with a simple truth. Most people overlook sometimes the most powerful changes in your life come from the quietest places, not from the pills, the trends, or the loud promises that collapse the moment you test them in real life, but from something ordinary, familiar, and almost invisible in your daily routine. This is the kind of thing that hides right in front of you, as if waiting for the moment you finally pay attention. And this one food, this unassuming source of nourishment, carries a force your body has been begging for: repair, balance, and a gentle kind of restoration that doesn't feel dramatic at first, yet transforms everything beneath the surface. What makes it so captivating isn't just that it's healthy. Many things are healthy. What makes this food different is the way it interacts with your body's deepest, quietest systems. The systems you don't feel working, the ones that stay silent even as they determine whether you age fast or slow, whether inflammation rises or calms, whether your cells break or rebuild. Most people live their entire lives without ever understanding how much these tiny, subtle processes shape their energy, their clarity, their resilience, and even their emotional balance. But the moment you introduce something that supports them, even slightly, you feel the shift in a way you cannot ignore. There's something powerful about nourishment that doesn't push or shock the body, but instead helps it remember what it already knows how to do. Healing is not always explosive. Sometimes it's a return to something your cells have been trying to achieve on their own, a state of order, harmony, and chemical balance that gets drowned out by stress, processed foods, poor sleep, and the constant noise of modern life. This one food doesn't try to fight your biology, it aligns with it, supports it, and strengthens what is already built into you. That is why its impact feels so natural, because your body recognizes it, welcomes it, and knows exactly how to use it. Imagine something so simple creating a ripple through your entire system. First, you may notice subtle changes. The tension you wake up with becomes a little lighter. The heaviness after meals fades faster. The cloudiness in your thinking begins to clear. You feel less reactive, less inflamed, less weighed down by the invisible pressure that builds inside the body when it doesn't receive the raw materials it needs to repair. These improvements aren't magical, they're biological. They're the result of giving your cells something they recognize as a signal, a message that says it's safe to repair, it's time to restore. And that message reaches places you cannot see, micro level processes happening in the tissues, the immune system, the digestive tract, and the energy factories that power your entire life. What most people misunderstand is that healing rarely begins with big changes. The body doesn't respond well to extremes. It responds to consistency, nourishment, and signals that reduce stress rather than add to it. This food works exactly through that principle. It is not a miracle, but a catalyst, a quiet trigger for balance, a biological nudge that shifts your system away from survival mode and back into maintenance mode where repair is possible. And because it works with your physiology rather than against it, the benefits accumulate day after day, week after week, until you suddenly realize something profound. You feel different, you move differently, you digest differently, you wake up differently. Nothing feels forced, everything feels earned. There is a reason researchers have been paying attention to the subtle compounds inside this food. They don't act like quick fixes, they act like architects guiding processes that strengthen the foundation you stand on. They influence the way your cells communicate, the way your immune system responds, the way your internal chemistry adapts to stress, and the way your body uses energy. These shifts are small individually, but together they create a pattern of resilience that changes the trajectory of your health over time. That is why people often underestimate it, because the transformation is gradual, gentle, almost unnoticeable at first until suddenly it becomes undeniable. And maybe that's why this food remained overlooked for so long. It doesn't promise miracles, it simply delivers what your body has been craving. In a world obsessed with shortcuts, the quiet solutions often get lost. But when you finally recognize the power in something so simple, something so accessible, it becomes clear how much your body was waiting for support, not noise, not intensity, but nourishment. And this food provides it without effort, without complexity, without requiring you to change your entire life overnight. The most remarkable part is how quickly the internal chemistry responds, even if you don't consciously feel the changes right away. Your cells read the compounds, use them, integrate them, and slowly begin to operate more efficiently. You may feel it as smoother energy throughout the day, steadier focus, easier digestion, less tension in the joints, or a kind of inner calm that appears for no dramatic reason. These aren't random improvements. They are the natural result of giving your biology what it has been missing. And while everyone is searching for dramatic breakthroughs, the truth sits quietly in your kitchen. The healing begins not with loud promises, but with consistent nourishment. That is the quiet power of this food. It doesn't shout, it restores, it doesn't rush, it supports, it doesn't create dependency. It strengthens your body so it can continue the work long after you consume it. And if you give it the chance, it gently shifts the direction of your health, one silent, steady, deeply healing moment at a time. The body has a language of its own, a whispering dialogue that happens beneath your awareness every second of your life. Most people never hear it, never sense the signals until something breaks, something hurts, something becomes loud enough to disrupt their routine. But long before disease shows its face, the body sends quiet warnings, tiny shifts in energy, mild digestive discomfort, random waves of fatigue, slower recovery, unexplained irritability. These signs are not accidents. They are messages, signals that something inside is struggling to keep up, struggling to maintain balance in a world that keeps pushing it out of rhythm. And the root of that struggle often lies in the smallest corners of your biology, the cellular level where damage accumulates silently, slowly, relentlessly. What makes this so powerful is how easily these early signs are dismissed. You tell yourself it's just stress, just aging, just lack of sleep, just an off day. You normalize things your body should never be forced to accept. Constant inflammation, fluctuating energy, poor digestion, mental fog, irregular hunger, or the heaviness that clings to you even when you're trying your best. But the truth is far simpler. The body is asking for support, not more effort, not more struggle, not more restriction. It's asking for nourishment, the kind that rebuilds, the kind that reduces internal friction, the kind that gives your cells the tools they need to do what they are designed to do. That's where the silent healing power of this food becomes so extraordinary. Instead of masking symptoms or forcing the body into temporary balance, it targets the invisible roots, oxidative stress, inflammation, metabolic slowdowns, mitochondrial weakness, and the silent chemical imbalances that shape your mood, your cravings, your resilience, and your long-term health. This food doesn't just fill your stomach, it fills a gap in your biology. It delivers compounds that act like tiny guardians, slipping into the bloodstream and neutralizing the damage that modern life constantly creates. Imagine thousands of microscopic protectors working quietly inside your body, intercepting free radicals before they tear apart your cells, calming inflammatory pathways before they spiral out of control, stabilizing energy production so you don't ride the highs and lows that drain your motivation. These compounds operate with precision, not aggressively, not forcefully, but harmoniously. They are recognized instantly by the body as allies, not intruders. And the moment they enter your system, the internal environment begins to shift. Cells that were once overwhelmed start to breathe again. Mitochondria, your tiny engines of energy, begin to repair their membranes and generate power more efficiently. Immune cells recalibrate, becoming less reactive and more intelligent. Hormonal signals that were chaotic begin to fall into their proper rhythm. It's like the difference between a cluttered room and a clean one. Suddenly, everything feels easier, smoother, more aligned. This is the kind of healing that doesn't announce itself with fireworks, but with a quiet strength that grows day by day. When people talk about foods that heal, they often imagine something dramatic, but true healing is not dramatic. It is consistent, it is nurturing, it is patient. And the nutrients in this food operate exactly in that spirit. They don't offer a quick fix, they offer stability, they don't promise miracles, they provide building blocks, they don't overwhelm the system, they reinforce it. That's why the effects feel so natural, because your body isn't being forced, it's being supported. Over time, this support begins to express itself in ways you can feel. You notice you're waking up more refreshed, not dragging yourself through the morning fog anymore. You notice meals sit lighter, digestion feels smoother, bloating becomes rare, and the uncomfortable fullness that once seemed normal begins to fade. Your skin may appear brighter, clearer, because internal inflammation is cooling down. Your mental clarity sharpens. Thoughts feel less scattered, more focused. You might feel more emotionally grounded, less reactive to stressors that once felt overwhelming. These changes aren't coincidences, they're reflections of what's happening at the deepest levels of your biology. When inflammation decreases, your brain functions better. When oxidative stress is reduced, your cells age slower. When nutrient pathways are supported, your metabolism becomes more efficient. When your mitochondria thrive, your energy becomes steady and reliable. Everything is connected. And this food plays a role across these systems because the compounds within it touch multiple pathways that determine how well you age, how well you heal, and how well you live. The most powerful part of this entire process is how subtle it begins. One small addition to your diet, one steady habit, one consistent choice that creates a chain reaction in your body's internal architecture. And while many people look for complicated solutions, the truth is often much simpler. Give your body the raw materials it needs and it will do the rest effortlessly. It's been waiting for this support, waiting for this nourishment, waiting for something that aligns with its design instead of fighting against it. As these nutrients accumulate in your tissues, the benefits compound, not in days, not in dramatic overnight shifts, but in steady improvements that slowly reshape the way you feel from the inside out. You don't chase results, you experience them. You don't force your body, it responds on its own. And soon, the signs that once seemed normal, the fatigue, the irritability, the digestive discomfort, the aches, the fluctuations in energy, begin to fade, replaced by a sense of balance your body hasn't felt in years. That is the power of true nourishment. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply offers the body what it was missing. And when you finally give it that, something remarkable happens. Healing stops being a struggle and becomes a natural, quiet, and profoundly transformative process. There is a moment in every person's life when they pause long enough to sense a truth they've been ignoring. The body is not simply reacting to what you eat, it is shaped by it, cell by cell, system by system, one microscopic decision at a time. And buried deep within this truth is a discovery most people never fully grasp. That one food, one source of nourishment can activate healing mechanisms so fundamental that they influence everything. Your immunity, your metabolism, your energy, your aging, and even the way your DNA responds to stress. It is not magic, it is biology. But biology, when understood correctly, is far more powerful than any miracle story you've heard. Every day your cells are fighting a battle. They confront oxidative damage, metabolic pressure, hormonal imbalances, environmental toxins, and the silent wear that life places on the human body. But what many don't realize is that your cells are not powerless. They are extraordinarily adaptive. They adjust, rebuild, detoxify, and defend if they are given the tools. This food supplies those tools in a way that is incredibly precise. It doesn't just nourish, it directs. It signals your genes, telling them when to repair, when to protect, when to calm inflammation, and when to amplify healing pathways that normally remain dormant. Most people assume healing must come from outside interventions. They imagine treatments, supplements, procedures, or complicated protocols, but the body has always held the blueprint for repairing itself. It just needs the right triggers. And the compounds in this food act like switches, microsignals interacting with gene receptors, unlocking protective responses deep inside your cells. Some of these pathways influence antioxidants your body produces on its own, increasing internal defenses far more powerfully than anything you could take from a bottle. Others help stabilize mitochondrial function, ensuring your energy factories stay strong, efficient, and resilient against stress. What's astonishing is how silently this process unfolds. No fireworks, no sudden transformation, just quiet, measurable shifts occurring every day beneath your awareness. Inflammation begins to lower, cellular debris gets cleared out more efficiently, your internal environment becomes less chaotic, more balanced, more capable of supporting long-term health. And even if you don't feel the changes at first, your body does. Your cells feel it, your immune system feels it, your energy pathways feel it. This is the kind of healing that works from the root outward, not from the surface inward. Think about what happens when your inflammation levels drop even slightly. The brain begins functioning more clearly, your mood becomes steadier, your cravings become less intense, stress feels more manageable. These aren't random effects, they're the result of reduced internal pressure. When inflammation cools, the brain can communicate more effectively with the body, nerve signals become more precise, hormones flow with less resistance, blood sugar becomes easier to control. You begin to experience a state of inner ease that feels almost foreign at first because you've grown used to the tension. But the healing doesn't stop in the mind. As your cells receive the compounds in this food, they begin reducing oxidative stress, the constant chemical battle that ages you from the inside. Free radicals, once overwhelming your defenses, are neutralized more easily. Your DNA becomes less vulnerable to damage. The small errors that accumulate over time are repaired more efficiently. And while you may not notice these microscopic corrections, they add up. They shape how you feel tomorrow, next month, and years from now. Then comes the part most people overlook: metabolic recalibration. When your cells function more smoothly, your body becomes more efficient. You digest more comfortably. You absorb nutrients more effectively. Your blood sugar becomes more stable. The roller coaster spikes and crashes smooths out. As this stability sets in, your hunger patterns shift too. You begin to crave less chaos. The body no longer drives you toward the foods that inflame it. Instead, you feel drawn toward foods that support your healing. This is not discipline, it's biology returning to its natural rhythm. And slowly something powerful begins to happen. Your energy changes, not the jittery energy of caffeine, not the superficial burst from sugar, but a steady, calm, grounded energy, the kind that makes your day feel lighter, your tasks easier, your mind clearer. Your body isn't screaming for relief anymore because it's finally being supported. Every system begins to cooperate instead of compete. The nervous system calms, the digestive system stabilizes, the immune system becomes more intelligent, less reactive, more protective. You feel it in your posture, your breathing, your focus, your motivation. This is the point where many people realize they've underestimated what nutrition can do. They've underestimated how deeply the body listens to the signals it receives. They've underestimated the power of one food to influence hundreds of internal reactions, reactions that shape not just how long you live, but how well you live. And once you feel even a fraction of that improvement, a quiet certainty grows inside you, a certainty that your body is not your enemy. It is not broken. It is not failing. It has simply been waiting for the right support. What makes this process beautiful is its simplicity. You don't have to overhaul your life. You don't have to fight against your biology. You don't have to force yourself into discomfort. All you have to do is give your body something it recognizes, something it has evolved to thrive on. And when you do, your internal systems respond with a kind of gratitude that expresses itself in ways you can feel every day. Healing isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet, slow, and deeply transformative. And when the right food enters your system, that transformation begins in the smallest of places, your cells. But it doesn't stay small. It grows, it expands, it radiates into every aspect of your health, building a foundation that supports you not just for days or weeks, but for years. The body knows how to heal. It has always known. It simply needed the nourishment that allows it to remember. There is a quiet moment in everyone's life when they realize that health isn't just shaped by what enters the body. It's shaped by what the body is forced to fight. And nothing drains life more silently than the foods that look harmless, feel ordinary, and appear healthy on the surface, yet trigger a storm of inflammation beneath your awareness. This food, however, stands at the complete opposite end of that spectrum. Instead of creating invisible battles inside you, it restores the balance those harmful foods disrupt. It brings calm where there was tension, order where there was chaos, and strength where there was weakness. But its power goes even deeper because it doesn't just fight inflammation, it rewrites the way your cells experience stress in the first place. Every cell in your body is constantly listening to your environment, your choices, your meals, your habits, even your thoughts, and each cell has to decide whether it is safe or under attack. Most people overlook how often their cells receive the wrong message. Modern diets flood the body with inflammatory signals, refined oils, excessive sugars, chemical preservatives, ultra-processed foods. Even foods marketed as natural or healthy can ignite inflammation the moment they reach your bloodstream. But when you introduce this one healing food into your life, the message changes entirely. Your cells stop bracing for impact and begin preparing for renewal. Instead of reacting, they begin repairing. Instead of defending, they begin restoring. Instead of fighting, they begin healing. Inside your body exists a powerful surveillance system, a network of immune cells constantly scanning for threats. When the foods you eat create inflammation, that system gets overwhelmed. It becomes confused, overactive, and exhausted. But the compounds in this healing food interact with those immune cells in a way that feels almost like communication. They whisper signals that reduce unnecessary alarm and redirect your immune system toward intelligent action instead of frantic reaction. The result? Less swelling, less redness, less internal irritation, and less damage to the tissues that should never have been attacked in the first place. As inflammation begins to settle, something remarkable happens. Tissues that have been suffocating under constant stress begin to breathe again. Blood flows more freely. Nutrients reach cells more efficiently. Hormones move with less resistance. The body regains a sense of clarity and direction. And when the internal landscape becomes calm, healing becomes not only possible but unavoidable. The body enters a state where repair is the natural outcome, not the struggle, but the influence of this food goes deeper than immunity. It speaks directly to your metabolic system, the invisible engine that shapes your weight, your energy, your mental stability, your sleep, and your aging. Inflammation disrupts this system like sand thrown into the gears of a machine. It slows you down, fogs your thinking, weakens your strength, and makes every effort feel heavier than it should. When inflammation drops, the gears begin turning the way they were designed to. They move smoothly, quietly, efficiently. Your metabolism becomes more flexible, your blood sugar becomes steadier, your energy becomes more stable. You stop crashing in the middle of your day, you stop waking up exhausted, you stop feeling like your body is resisting your efforts. This is where the real shift begins, not in the symptoms you see, but in the signals you don't. Hormones that were once confused begin functioning with precision again. The body's natural healing molecules start flowing freely. Your mitochondria, the very sources of your energy, begin generating power more cleanly. And as they grow stronger, you feel that strength translate into your daily life. You move more easily. You think more clearly. You breathe more deeply. Your body feels more like a partner again, not a burden. At the same time, this food influences oxidative stress, the damage caused by unstable molecules that wear down your tissues like rust on metal. Inflammation is gasoline for oxidative stress, and reducing one automatically weakens the other. But this food goes beyond that. It provides compounds that neutralize oxidative damage before it harms your DNA, your cells, and your organs. This is why people feel younger, lighter, more awake, more alive when they consume it consistently. It isn't giving you energy. It's giving you back the energy that inflammation was stealing. Then comes one of the most overlooked effects, the emotional shift. People often forget that inflammation directly affects mood. It fuels irritability, fogginess, fatigue, and even anxiety. When inflammation decreases, the mind begins to clear. Thoughts become sharper, stress feels lighter. Small frustrations no longer feel like mountains. You start experiencing a sense of emotional steadiness, almost like your inner world finally aligns with the calm happening inside your cells. Your mind stops being pulled down by the weight of your physiology and instead rises with it. And with that mental clarity comes awareness, the awareness that your body is changing. You start noticing small victories, less bloating, more energy, clearer skin, easier movement, steadier appetite. These aren't coincidences. They are confirmations that your internal environment is shifting in your favor. They are signs that the healing process has started, that your body has begun remembering how to operate without inflammation constantly shouting over its signals. The beauty of this transformation lies in its subtlety. Healing rarely announces itself with a dramatic moment. It happens quietly, cell by cell, breath by breath, meal by meal. You won't feel fireworks. You won't feel sudden miracles. What you will feel is a gradual return to yourself, the version of you that functions effortlessly, the version of you that isn't burdened by internal struggle, the version of you that experiences life with a lighter body and a clearer mind. What makes this healing powerful is not that it happens quickly, but that it happens deeply. It builds a foundation that supports your health long after the moment you choose it. And once your body experiences that kind of internal peace, it never forgets it. It begins to crave the things that support it rather than the things that harm it. That is the true power of this food, not just that it reduces inflammation, but that it reminds your body how to thrive. There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise of the world becomes too loud to ignore. A moment when the body whispers truths that the mind has avoided for years, the quiet fatigue that doesn't lift even after sleep, the heaviness behind the eyes, the sense that something inside is asking, almost begging for a reset, a renewal, a return to balance. And that is where this one food enters the story, not as a trend, not as a miracle cure, but as a biological ally that has been silently working inside human physiology since ancient times. Imagine something so subtle that most people overlook it, yet so powerful it can change the internal rhythm of your cells. Picture a nutrient-dense source that doesn't shout for attention on flashy packaging, doesn't rely on marketing or celebrity endorsements, but carries inside it a blueprint, a molecular signature that the body recognizes instantly. When it enters you, there is no confusion, no struggle. The cells open their metaphorical hands as if welcoming home an old friend who has been gone for too long. It begins in the bloodstream. The compounds travel like quiet messengers, unhurried yet certain, slipping into biochemical pathways that had been clogged, exhausted, or ignored. They don't force healing. They awaken it. They don't overwhelm the body. They remind it of what it was always capable of. They are not magic. They are memory. They restore biological intelligence that modern living has blurred. And as these molecules move deeper, the transformation becomes almost poetic. Cells that were suffocating under layers of oxidative stress suddenly exhale like someone opening a window after years of stale air. Inflammation, that silent fire that slowly corrodes health, begins to cool. Not instantly, not dramatically, but steadily, like embers dimming under a soft rain. The body doesn't need a battle, it needs balance. And this food provides exactly that. Inside the gut, something even more profound is happening. Trillions of microorganisms, the tiny architects of immunity and mood metabolism, begin to shift. Some species that thrive on chaos start to fade, while those that promote clarity and stability rise again. The gut lining, which controls what enters your bloodstream and what stays out, starts sealing microscopic cracks that were letting toxins slip through. And as this healing unfolds, people often describe feeling lighter, not just physically, but emotionally, as if some of the internal static finally quieted down. Deep within the mitochondria, the power centers of your cells, this food becomes fuel of a different kind, not the erratic, volatile kind that burns fast and leaves you crashing, but a steady energy that feels clean, centered, and grounded. It strengthens the microscopic engines inside you, helping them produce energy with less waste, less inflammation, and far greater efficiency. This is why some people, after adding it consistently, report their mind sharpening, their focus returning, their emotional resilience strengthening. It isn't psychological placebo, it's biochemical truth. And something remarkable begins to unfold in your bloodstream. The delicate dance between sugar and insulin becomes smoother. Cells that were once resistant begin responding again. The spikes flatten, the crashes soften. You feel more stable throughout your day, not wired, not sluggish, but steady, present, awake. Your body starts communicating with itself the way it was designed to, without chaos interrupting the message. But perhaps the most astonishing part is what this food does for your long-term cellular destiny. Deep inside your DNA, there are switches, epigenetic signals that determine whether certain genes activate or stay dormant. The compounds in this food interact with those switches like gentle hands, guiding them toward protection, repair, and longevity. It does not rewrite your biology. It encourages it to express its strongest, healthiest version. Your skin begins showing the first visible signs, not through surface level cosmetics, but from internal nourishment. A clarity emerges, a quiet vibrance. The complexion subtly brightens because the inflammation underneath is calming, because the oxidative stress is fading, because the body is no longer fighting silent battles every second of the day. Your heart responds too. The blood vessels soften, the tension inside them eases. The vital flow becomes smoother, more effortless, like a river finally freed from debris. Studies may call it improved endothelial function, but for you, it simply feels like breathing becomes easier, movement becomes smoother, life becomes lighter. And as the days pass, something deeper awakens, trust in your body, trust in the process, trust in the idea that healing does not always arrive with noise and intensity. Sometimes it comes quietly, silently, through one simple choice repeated daily, one food, one habit, one commitment that reshapes the foundation of your biology. Because healing isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's about giving your body the raw material it needs to do what it already knows how to do. And this food becomes that raw material, that signal, that catalyst for renewal, not by overpowering your system, but by empowering it. Not by replacing your body's wisdom, but by restoring it. And somewhere along that journey, you begin noticing something profound. You don't just feel healthier, you feel more you, more aligned, more present, more alive, as if layers of fog, fatigue, and noise have slowly been peeled away. And underneath all of it, what emerges is clarity, strength, balance, a version of yourself that your cells have been waiting a long time to express.